I honestly don't remember like what exactly did it, but I know when I came back to that corner, I told him, I said, man, I think I broke my hand, and I knew like when I came out the next round, he jabbed me and I like blocked it, and it hurt, and I was like, it's fucked. So I still continued to try to throw it. Like you said, it was openings, but my hand was really, 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 really hurting, and I'm not trying to make that as an excuse. I used everything else I had, and I succeeded. I did well. I got out of the way of his punches, for the most part. And when I wanted to exchange, I was winning the exchanges. Other than that, I was catching the punches and slipping his punches. I just don't. I don't really. I don't want to make this an excuse. I think I did well enough to win with one hand.
Womp, womp, womp. Lamont Roach says he has a broken hand after going to war with Eastside Pitbull Cruz. Guess what? There's another fighter that fought Pitbull Cruz with a hurt hand and did much better. He goes by the name of Gervonta Tank Davis, and that's what I'll talk about in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I am back with some more boxing. Now, Lamont Roach, I don't know how he personally feels about his performance, but I personally feel that he fought the wrong game plan. And it's a shame because from what I've seen, he had the tools to cleanly beat Eastside Pitbull Cruz. But if you fight the wrong fight, then you're leaving it up for chance. So I made a video about it. I fully 100% blame Lamont Roach because he keeps finding himself in the same predicament where he does well, shows he has ability, but he can't, quite get over that hump to secure the victory. In boxing, you got to learn how to close the show. And I thought Pitbull Cruz started and ended well. Pitbull Cruz's middle, he fought a little dirty. He was getting frustrated, getting outboxed. And that middle was a little bit rough for Pitbull Cruz. However, rounds 11 and 12, Pitbull Cruz got active again. And you kind of leave that as a lasting impression in the judge's mind because the last thing they seen was another shootout. So Roach completely fell asleep at the wheel in the late rounds. You talk all this stuff about Pitbull Cruz. I will be the first person to knock him out. The Tank fight. You went on a whole tour about how you were robbed in the Tank fight only to get another draw back to back. This sets Lamont Roach back immensely because if a person is claiming they were wronged, right? The best way to prove that you were wronged is to maybe have a different outcome in your next fight. For example, Roach is like, I was robbed. Judges did me bad. This was ridiculous. Da, 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 da. But when you have back-to-back fights, right after you just said that, you have back-to-back fights and the outcome is exactly the same. Now you got to start looking inward if you weren't doing it before. I'm all about accountability. And I feel like it gets to a point, I'm not big on the woe is me stuff. Gets to a point where we got to hold people accountable for what they say. You said you were going to knock them out. You fought the wrong style of fight. And you yourself got dropped for the first time in your career. Your lip was all busted up post-fight. And you lost early rounds and late rounds by going to war and trying to trade with him. Why? If you got more skill than the man, why would you be in the shootout? You're trying too hard. It's like try hard behavior. And then now you have a fractured or broken hand and it was hurting you immensely. We're not accepting that because Tank showed that Pitbull Cruz can be outboxed and he had one hand. Why are we going to give Lamont Roach, who's been on this like I'm better than Tank train, ever since the Tank fight. Why are we giving him that? To be honest, I've never seen Tank Tank never looked like Lamont Roach did in that fight. Put it that way. In none of his fights, where he got dropped, had a busted lip, and was getting hit with big shots. It's cool if you have a chin or whatever, but you shouldn't be. He gave up senseless shots as the bigger person with more ring IQ, in my opinion. So that's the price you pay. And now you don't get the title. You got to, at best, rematch Pitbull Cruz. And as far as the broken hand, it happens. You have to find a way to pull it out. And again, this is probably the worst outcome for Lamont Roach based on his draw tour that he went on. You did all this stuff, said all this stuff, and then when it came down to it, you can't even convincingly beat Pitbull Cruz. Why are you calling out Gary Antoine Russell, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo winner, saying that you want to rematch Tank, but you don't know if he's man enough to rematch you? And like, you did all this crying about a draw to only get another draw. You did all this crying about Tank should have been a 10-8 round, and you were complaining to the ref, and you got dropped. Your glove touch, fully a 10-8 round. So disappointing outing overall when you consider Lamont Roach's ability and what was shown. You say you didn't have a problem being the underdog and having a pro Pitbull Cruz crowd against you. You said you're just happy that people are in the audience. You knew what you were up against. That's my point. You knew what you were up against. You said you had no problem with the crowd and all that. But they're going to go crazy anytime Pitbull Cruz is getting aggressive. You and your team would have to know that and have a way to combat that. Right? And then for moments in the fight where he was outboxing Pitbull Cruz, the crowd was very muted. But you let them chant and like hype Pitbull Cruz back up to the point where he started having some success again in rounds 11 and 12. And in a close fight, I just feel like they're not going to give it to you. So in these fights, I feel like I'm always going to blame the fighter who didn't fight the right way, because some of those pivotal rounds, if you would clean those up, you would have won full stop. But you leave it up to interpretation. That is 100% your fault. It's the type of thing where you go back and watch tape and you're like, dang, why did I do that? I should have did this. You ever been in a relationship with a girl, right? And the girl, she a good girl. She got body. She got a nice job. She treats you well. She good in bed, whatever, right? You got a nice girl. And then you do something dumb. And then we as men, we look back after she's had enough of your ish for whatever you did. You cheated. You're dirty, whatever. You know what I mean? You were too lazy. You had no ambition, whatever caused her to break up with you, right? And then we as men, we look back on those relationships that were almost perfect, but it's our fault. We didn't do something. Those are the relationships that hurt. Those are the ones that hurt because you realize you let a good thing go by your actions. She told you, you got to stop verbally, accosting her. You got to treat her better or stop cheating or whatever, right? And you tested it, and then she finally got sick of you, and then she was like, deuce, and she don't want nothing to do with you now. And she was like the perfect girl for you. And I feel like fights could be like that, where you go back and watch it and you're like, why did I do that? And this was one of those fights for me where Lamont Roach, I'm like, why are you fighting? What do you have to gain by having a slugfest against somebody who's known for slugfest, right? Remember when Pitbull fought Fierro, other tough Mexican bull, and then he won the fight. It was a close fight. Some people have Fierro. But again, Pitbull is the crowd favorite. You're having a slugfest, although it could be entertaining. Me personally, I'm about winning. I don't care. Like, I wouldn't want to be a boring fighter. But if you have to mute out the person, what they're doing, just so they don't win, maybe that's what you do. But when you have the Fierro approach, cool. Don't be mad when the judges don't see it your way. Don't be mad when, like, it would feel much better to have a broken hand and then in my good hand, I'm holding up a belt. Lamont Roach was close to that moment because he boxed well when he boxed. But giving up pivotal rounds in a pro Pitbull crowd was just stupid to me. And now you're like, oh, my hand was really hurt. Guess what? Tank's hand was really hurt. He showed you pictures post-fight. His hand wasn't doing good. And at the end of the day, Tank decided to box. He's like, all right, this dude is durable. I've already hurt one hand. Let's just have some clean work. Get on my bike a little bit, jab, throw the left when I can. Tank is just a smarter fighter, and he don't get credit for it. So no sympathy for Lamont Roach. This was your doing, and now he has a broke hand. Ego injury report. For more boxing news and injury updates, subscribe. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new. But even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.